So here we are back at our original sketch, and what I'm going to do now is reorganize everything a little bit. So for example, this arc, I'm going to for a moment rotate back to its original state. You see, I did not type in Y and Z because the first number you type in is the X value. And if you only want to change X, you only have to put in just one number and it works. Okay, so then I'm going to select this point, the upper one, and actually just move it up 1 unit, a millimeter, snapping to the grid. I do the same down here. So right mouse button for the Z-axis, and then I snap to the grid with pressing the Alt key. Okay. And then I copy and paste and go to rotate -45 and paste rotate 45. So now I have 3 different profiles. For the sake of getting this done quickly, I'm drawing a connection between those 3 edit points with using an AP curve. Of course, that is not 100% equal to a nice perfect arc. It looks close, but it's not really directly in an arc. Sorry, a circle. So if I scale this one down and zoom in a little bit, you can see that, for example, here the lines don't really overlap. While here and there, the 2 lines, so the cylinder, the circle and the arc touch here, just here. It's not exactly the same. But for the sake of demonstrating this, that is acceptable for the moment. Okay, so then to make things a little bit easier for me, I'm going to hide the CV and the hull, because I don't really need to see those right now. And then those lines, for example, I have to bring over now to the right side. So I'm going to move, middle mouse button, and then I press the Alt key and make sure that the line and those arcs actually are really on the same plane. That is very important. Because I would like to apply a fillet, so they are rounded together already, and that only works when those lines are planar, so meaning they're on a plane construction plane surface. Okay, then let's turn on our iPod for a moment, or our MP3 player. So I just get roughly an estimate about the height. And now I'm going to move this one a little bit to the left and beyond those arcs I created. Maybe one step further. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to save. I can go ahead now and start filleting, for example, my lines. So I select this line and this line, press OK, and then this line and this line, OK, this line and this line, OK, and then the last one here, accept. Okay. The reason why I did this is now I have a fully closed profile that already has rounded edges, and that will later be very beneficial for the surface fillet tool. because I could go now to the side view and, for example, go to surfaces, turn on my draft surface, and again for you, you have to use the draft surface tool for curves. Select all the curves, set the orientation correctly, and yeah, 4 millimeters that intersects with that MP3 player, and that is good. So this way I have, as you can see, not only the front and the inner surface created, but also those trimmed side surfaces. And I already have the edge rounding surfaces as well. As you can see, that's a little bit quicker to get everything done. And what is left is now I have to create a surface between those arcs. And there I'm going to create now another AP curve. Actually, I thought I had it somewhere. Let me see where it went to. I must have by accident deleted them. So I create those lines again, because those are my rails. They're very important. Okay. And then I could go ahead and go to the rail tool, do generation, or actually I go through generation and to rails. Number 1, number 2, number 3, generation, and then rail 1 and rail 2. Oh, I forgot to click go. So generation 1, 2, and 3, go, and then rail 1 and rail 2. And there's now that surface. Actually, out of curiosity, let's try something out. Always experiment when you work. It's really a good habit to try to increase your modeling skill. So, because I would like to have a really nice profile, I'm going to select the rings actually as my rail curves. Yeah, and it doesn't work. Okay, good. So the rails have to be those. Okay. Then I am, for the moment, going to select those profiles and hide them because I don't need to see them right now. And now I'm going to show you why, for example, this approach with having the profiles created with a fillet and then create the draft surface is a better approach than having everything with sharp edges, because I have basically half of my fillet jobs already done, and now I can go to the surface fillet. I have chord and 1 for the size, and now I can drag basically over my surfaces for the button sides. And you see I also selected the arcs, click accept, and then I can click the top surface, click accept, and now Alias has to only calculate a fillet between those two different units. And there is now my button, including all edges perfectly rounded. So instead of using the round tool for edges, you have to build your geometry where one corner is already rounded, so it is then possible for the surface fillet tool because initially that's only between two different objects, not necessarily surfaces, by objects, so the side and the top surface, and then you can basically get exactly the same result. Okay, so with this done, we can save first, so Alias doesn't crash by accident, and then we have to set our orientation points, the pivot point, and I press the Alt key and snap to the center part, and then I select my fillet object. You see that is just one object, and snap it. And I can click a side object, and you see it selects all side parts. And set my pivot point to there. And let's make a check. Okay. As it looks like, the pivot point for each unit is set correctly. Now I could go ahead, select everything, go to Edit, Duplicate, Object, Mirror, have everything set up, use Instance, click Go, and there it is. Everything works. So in general, as a tip, the round tool is really nice, but try not to use it too much. It is a somewhat difficult tool inside Alias, and you can see that with a two-step approach, I can get the same edge rounding done by just using the surface fillet tool. It's one additional step, but then as you can see in your modeling workflow, everything is a lot easier because now I could go ahead and save. And for example, go to the query edit, select this edge, and then say, well, I would like this one to be smaller. And as you can see, all fillets are updated on all 4 objects. So that's pretty awesome. So with having shown you basically 3 different approaches, I hope that you can see the ups and downs of each one and properly also see the value in the last one being probably, because the way how Alias thinks, the best approach for working and creating that surface inside Alias. In a different software where it might treat the tools a little bit differently, that can be a different case, but in this case here we work with Alias, so we should adapt to a modeling workflow that is best for the software.